Yep. Good morning. Coffee Conversations with Greg J is on. How y'all doing today? Everybody good? Thursday. We're making it through this thing alive and well. Just take a breath and exhale. It's going to be all right. Yep. What a great show we have for you today. We're making it happen. Yeah. Making it happen. What a great show. You know, we're going through all of the stuff that's happening in the world. We were talking this morning. It's like, my goodness, every time you wake up, turn on the news, is some old craziness. We don't know what they're doing in these higher places. We don't know. We're trying to look forward. What's the next deal? We gonna mask up or not? Are we vaccinate or not? We got our vaccinations, but it wasn't an easy decision. I'll tell you that now. Lots on our heads, man. It's just a lot on our head, and we got to find ways to keep ourselves balanced and peaceful. Keep that chakra center. It's a real deal. So, one of the organizations I'm associated with, the Arts Council for Long Beach, I talk about them all the time. I'm really happy to be a part of that experience. And they have this program called Go Make Something. So, they're teaching the people how to create stuff while we're under quarantine as a way of keeping ourselves balanced. That's a good activity. Yes. Make some stuff. I made a book. What did you have there? What was the thing? What are those? The containers. Remember the containers? They made the containers. Hey, just keep ourselves occupied. But shoot, enough of me talking about it. Let's see. Griselda Suarez, the esteemed executive director of the Arts Council for Long Beach. This woman is doing the doggone thing. I'm just going to tell y'all just the real talk. She's just a soldier out here. And if you guys didn't know, now you know. And we could probably have a whole show on her just alone. She is the bomb, and I'm just honored to know her. So let's say good morning to Griselda. Griselda, you there? Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I am doing well today. Yes, I'm so happy to be here. I'm actually quite humbled to be part of this discussion. This is a great group of people you have today, and I'm honored to say hello and be among them during this hour.
These super artists, boy, I've been hanging with you. I'm meeting all kinds of people, it's really good stuff, and I'm excited about it, So what's the Go Make Something program? What is that?
The Go Make Something program is a program funded through the California Arts Council and supported as well by the City of Long Beach and DLBA. And it is based on the grant that we applied for, which is Artist in Community. And this program really is a way for us to bring artists together and with the help of artists and with the help of creativity, help people and our fellow creatives and artists and performers process everything that has transpired in this last year. There's a series of workshops. There'll be a call for submissions. And, we really hope to have people express themselves, redirect all this emotional and spiritual experiences that we had this last year into Go Make Something. We're just really happy that these artists decided to work with us and help and share their skills, their talent, and their passions as well.
All right. So I'm at home. I'm not normally an artist. How do you attract people like that are not, predisposed to doing art?
That's a great question. And within this last month, we've had a series of workshops, and Jose Angel can talk a little bit more about how the workshops went and the inspiration for those. And I think the workshops are a way for processing. So if you're feeling, a little stuck, if you're trying to figure it all out, these workshops are not necessarily meant to create this a magnitude of art. It's really about the magnitude within ourselves and processing. Right. And so I think a lot of those workshops were designed that way. And this past month, everything from, we had creative drawing and journaling right this month. And we had these workshops. We're going to make something. And people are, I think, yearning to connect in some way, right? In some deeper way. I think right now people are connecting physically outdoors, like, oh my goodness, I can come out, right? I can be outside. But I think there's still the need to process deeper because we went through a lot.
Yeah. I know I went on one of the Arts Council virtual events, and the lady had us drawing with our non-dominant hand. That was like, wow. Very, very interesting. All right, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guests here? Right. Who do we have?
Today we have Jose Angel Castro and Rejeana Black. And we also have Ryan Hoyle.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yes. All right. Look, I'm trying to figure you out there, Mr. Jose. I looked you up. What kind of art do you do? I mean, you look the wise sage. I look at your picture. I'm like, yo, I'm coming to his class. Just you got the locks. He looks like, okay, this is the guru right here. When you look at him.
You're embarrassing me. I'm actually feeling my face get hot, man. Don't do that.
Well, tell us about your art.
my at the moment, my primary artistic practice, I would have to say, is teaching. I think teaching is a work of art. It's the puzzle pieces are all the skills that I've gathered over the years and how I apply that to convey information to people, and have people walk away with something that is valuable to them. To me, that's art. In terms of other artistic pursuits, I'm a professional photographer, and I have a varied and colorful history. Let's put it that way. That's all as much as I want to say about that.
All right, that's what's up. Well, all good. Thank you so much for being here. And then there's Rejeana V. Black, super photographer. Look, I want you all to see her photography, and I pulled up some stuff. So while we're getting introduced to Rejeana there, I mean, all I can say is, wow. Is her work. I mean, wow. What inspires you, Ms. Black, on everything that you do? How'd you get started? Just tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Rejeana Black. I'm a Long Beach-based artist, and what really fuels my work is talking about intergenerational trauma and epigenetics and mental health in the daily lives of African Americans in our community.
You said epigenetics?
Yes. And that's the study of gene expression and how it alters over generations.
Wow. Okay. That's epigenetics. Let me write that. Gotta write that one down. That's a good one. Word of the day. Okay. Now, who in the photography world inspires you?
Ooh, that's a great question. Number one, I'd have to give props to Carrie Mae Weems. She is my favorite woman photographer, especially her 1995 series, When I Saw What Happened and I Cried. That really has been an influence to my work and what she tries to express in her practice. And then, of course, Jose is another influence because he's a mentor of mine, and, just getting as many mentors in the community as possible to just be able to teach us and learn from each other. I think that is very vital.
And then how long have you been doing your craft? Like, it looks like you you look pretty young there, my sister. I'm looking at you, but so like, how long have you been doing this, and how long did it take you to develop in the art forms that we see?
Well, even though I look young, thank you. I'm 25, and I've been doing this for over 10 years now.
All right, daughter. So I'm just saying, okay, so like to describe to us like the first moment you picked up the camera and you said, okay, you know what? This is what I'm going to do.
That would have to been in high school. My mother, thank God, and thank God for her, she bought my first camera, and I used it ever since then. I still use it to this day, a Canon Rebel T3i, and I shot my friends, and we just started doing impromptu little pseudo photo shoots around LA. We did the lampposts of LACMA and the beach and all these things that I just found how you can still create a story in these, little make-do photo shoots. And I was compelled with the artwork that we were creating. And I just said, okay, well, if I'm going to decide to go to college, I want to go and pursue something that fuels me. And it was photography. So that's why I decided to attend Cal State Long Beach.
All right, listen, I'm going to pull up this one before we get to our next fantastic guest. There's one photo I need you all to see here. Hold on, I'm pushing my buttons and let us, well, we'll do it like this. Taking a shortcut. What I wanted to do was, all right, can y'all see that? I mean, okay, so you have Laura Nelson, the, I guess the first African-American woman of record, I guess, to be lynched and superimposed on the back of someone, presumably a woman. That's an assumption. I don't know. But talk about how you came up with this vision. And this is a powerful, powerful statement.
Yes, this came up in 2019, and it was actually during my documentary photography class. And I was first looking into my own history and my own family tree, and I was pulling up my archival documents of the ancestors that were enslaved that are mine. And when I was sharing this with my peers, who was a very diverse intellectual group of people, I was getting very little response. I was getting no response, if you will, to yes. And it wasn't anything like this, right? And so I went home with that, and I was frustrated, and I just went to my professor for the final, and I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to project lynch images on my and other subjects' bodies to portray this intergenerational trauma, because it is in our bodies, and we do carry it, and we do pass it on to our generations. And so this was the most on the nose way of getting my point across to other communities as well, because I think we can understand this as African Americans, but when you see it like this, it touches more than just our own community.
Right. Wow, what an incredible piece there. I mean, when I first saw that, I was like, dang, that's a powerful statement right there. All right. That's a good stuff. Thank you so much for being here. This next person here, I met him we were at the BLM meeting together, one time, and I made him, shook hands with him, good guy. Ryan Hoyle, he's the owner, president of the, what is that called? Play Nice Long Beach, Play Nice LBC. What's going on there, Ryan?
That's correct. Thank you for having me here. Good to see all of you all. But Play Nice, essentially, we started off in 2018 as a vintage clothing consignment type situation. And we just noticed that all of my business partners had a love and a knack for art and creating, and also bringing community together. So we were fortunate enough to transition our space into hosting art shows, art galleries, pop-up events for youth of color in the city, and just blessed to be able to serve as a community hub, resource center, and just an area where folks can come and creatively express and convene and all of that good stuff.
So I was looking online and I saw the refrigerators, and I said, man, I've got to ask about the refrigerators all over the city. That was pretty dope.
Yeah, it was good while it lasted. I'll say that was in July. With all of the social uprisings that were happening, we felt like it was our duty to step up and assist in mutual aid efforts. So we were able to partner with the LA Community Fridge nonprofit to actually set up the first fridge in Long Beach, and I believe the only fridge in Long Beach. And even though it was only up for about a week before the health department came by and told us it was a big no-no, we were able to, positively impact a lot of folks in our community, and looking forward to doing more aid and things like that in the future.
Now, explain to the people exactly what it is. Like so you guys basically put stocked refrigerators with food and painted them up really cool and put them out on the street, and anybody could come by and get the food. Is that correct?
That's correct. So essentially the LA Community Fridge, and a huge shout out to them. They took it upon themselves to source the fridges. They have a very, very extensive volunteer network. So they were able to drop off the fridge. We spent the day spray painting it and getting it designed all nice to be able to, represent the area of 4th Street that we had. We actually did, we spray painted it with chalkboard paint and left some chalk sticks out. So anybody that came by was able to kind of leave their mark on the fridge, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, just like you said, folks from the community were able to come, and they came out in droves and come basically stock the fridge with whatever they felt like they wanted to donate. And folks were able to come by and take what they needed. That was the slogan: take what you need, leave what you don't. And we saw so many people, from the houseless population to even folks that were just, living next door to the shop, coming by and taking food and other items, toiletries that, were deemed essential and that they needed. And I think they were really grateful for it. This was a non-traditional way of giving back, in the sense of there was no needs testing. There was no shame. I'm not, poor enough to receive this aid. It literally was just, hey, come and take, and reciprocate when you can. And I feel like it's a great model moving forward in terms of mutual aid.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ryan, in your view, I mean, when you and I met, our paths first crossed, we were at I guess it was shortly after the protests out there, May 31st in Long Beach. I went out there and, just want to be around my young folks. And then I went to the BLM meeting to hear and listen. And, I'm a couple of generations before you, but it really warms my heart to see my sons and daughters, my nephews and nieces, and them, getting out here and standing up for social justice. Just speak from the heart. Like, how can you make a difference? How do you see arts making a difference in this incredible time of history that we're in right now?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Honestly, personally, I feel like we all have different talents and skill sets that we can lend to the movement, right? So, in terms of art, I think my role in art, I'm a documentarian. I shoot photos, I shoot video. I like to preserve the moment. If you see in the back, there's a photo that was taken from one of the protests in Los Angeles. I think it's just, playing your part. We had a unique opportunity to where even the way that we met, at the BLM meeting, we were able to partner with them, knowing that we were trusted messengers and trusted advocates in the Black community. Black Lives Matter Long Beach chapter was able to reach out to us and kind of garner our support and, getting the messaging out for that meeting. And we were able to pack out, that room at Jordan High, on 1 day promotion, you know what I mean? And the people really needed, to be in that space and be able to share, from their experience and figure out, methods for us to move forward. But in terms of art, I think it's just, it's just such a healing practice. You know what I mean? People are able to express themselves through different mediums, and, figure out some common ground and find ways to move forward.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wow, Griselda, what a group there we have got here. I mean, this is really, really incredible. I'm humbled. Hey, this is really, really exceptional. Griselda, it's since I've been, associated with you and the Arts Council, the advocacy for the arts in so many different ways, it weaves in and out of everything that we do at the Arts Council. Speak to how important that is, and then tell us, how'd you come up with this project here?
Well, I will defer to the artists here about the project. I would love to have them speak to it. As far as advocacy is concerned, there are several layers to supporting our arts and culture sector in any municipality, right? We in Long Beach have a arts council that's an independent nonprofit. Other cities have an arts commission or a department that's integrated into the city. But either way, we have city, county, state, and federal advocacy to do. Yesterday, it was announced that President Biden has increased the National Endowment for the Arts budget by a lot. It was actually quite great to see over $200 million projected, right? That is his proposal to have in the National Endowment for the Arts, which then comes to organizations like the Arts Council. But advocacy goes beyond the money. In the Arts Council, we understand that here in Long Beach that it's about money, but it's also about representation, and it's about diversity of genre and discipline. Because in reality, when Long Beach starts talking about we want to be a destination, we want to be this cool place, all of that is on the labor and creativity of our cultural and arts workers. And we have to make sure that people understand that we have to pay our artists a decent wage. We need to honor them by their creativity, by paying them for their creativity. And this last year is a perfect example of how art and culture and music and performance in many ways illuminated and saved our lives. We immediately went to things that are made by folks. We immediately went to TV or movie or music to heal us, and even art and art making, even cooking, right? Creating something. And I think of all the years, I hope people really fully understand that that art heals us. We create ourselves. We're creating the images and the documents that will tell the next generation what we went through. And I think it's important to put more value to that. So our advocacy is several prongs, right? We look at funding, but we also look about how we talk about art and how we integrate art and creativity into our neighborhoods in a very meaningful, respectful way.
Wow, that's really, really great. Now, Jose,
if I could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sort of echoing what Griselda was saying. During this time, we Go Make Something is a project that we worked on exactly to sort of highlight this process, this period that we're all going through, that we're terming the convergence, where all these crises came together at the same time, and understanding what we have been going through, where we are now, and how we move forward from here. And to address the question you asked earlier, Greg, about people who don't necessarily consider themselves artists or creatives, how are they attracted to this? Is for everybody, because it's clear that during this convergence, we all leaned on creativity very heavily, right? Whether you learn to cook or sharpened your cooking skills, as Griselda said, or whether you picked up a ukulele for the first time, or whether you picked up a paintbrush, or you decided to go and photograph flowers in your neighborhood, or there's so many outlets, or you watched other people's creativity. It's still really evident that we really leaned heavily on it. And what I'm hoping, as I'm sure Griselda is hoping, is that remains after we get through this period. And this convergence, this wasn't the beginning of it. This was its culmination. This is where all these things came together after developing over time, right? It's just that we all sort of we had a mutual experience, on the same sea, different boats maybe, but on the same sea.
You know, it's interesting. I'm glad you said the words I was going to ask you as I was looking at and getting ready for this morning's experience. I'm like, okay, I wonder what they mean by convergence. What do you mean when, like, in terms of art? I know that in my business, in the media business, it's you know, we say digital convergence. You know, meaning you got to have your radio brand on every conceivable platform, you know. And I said, wow, this word convergence is very interesting in this context. How'd you come up with that there, Jose?
You know, it was looking at everything that, I mean, from my own through my own personal lens, but then my own personal lens causing me to look out away from myself and see what other people were dealing with. And everybody on the whole, we were all dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. The convergence itself, but also we still had to deal with our daily grind. Right. You still had to make your money. You still had to pay your rent. You still had to watch your kids. You had to school your kids if you had them at home. We had all of these things going on at the same time. And the really amazing thing about doing this particular event, this happening called Go Make Something, was that we could concentrate the processing of that, as Griselda said, around creativity. So if you're a creative, or even if you leaned on creativity, how, especially if you're an artist, to a person, every artist, every creative entrepreneur that I know, to a person, was transformed by this period. Because this period, you know, everybody talks about, oh, now we can get outside. Well, it drove us inside collectively, and it also collectively drove us inside. And what does that do of you in the long term, right? And this event was a way to help us begin to process that, because it's necessary. The thing that I like to say recently is you have to go through it to get past it. Getting over it isn't enough, right? So Go Make Something, working through and beyond the convergence, is that very thing. It's really trying to get ourselves into spaces where we understand what we're dealing with, so that we can move on from them.
Wow, this is ministry right here. Hallelujah.
Oh man, I'm sorry to soapbox, but it's important. It's important. And
very much so.
You know, people and their creativity, it's really important stuff.
So Rejeana, I see that you are part of some of the workshops that you all have done, and you know, what's that been like? Like, what do you hope to impart in the people in this area of it is, you know, it's ministry. So like, how do you hope to touch the souls of the people?
That's a beautiful question. We really just hope to touch their peace of mind. That's really what it is, you know, because like Jose was saying, it drove us inwards, the quarantine. And for many of us, that had negative side effects. It definitely affected depression, anxiety, stress of overall. And so this is just our outlet to show the community in the easiest way possible, at the same time that just even 5 minutes to 30 minutes out of your day, you could be creative. Just like Griselda and Jose were saying, it doesn't have to be art related. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I got to go paint something. You could write a poem. If you could attempt to write a poem if you never have. For myself, what I did for my own little self-care, I learned how to make whipped body shea butter. And I learned off of YouTube. You know, so it doesn't have to be, you know, specifically fine art related. It could be whatever fuels you, that'll make you feel at ease going through this convergence.
There it is.
Greg, your mic's off.
Hey, Ryan, I was just going to ask, you know, what do you think about all this? Were you on the workshops too, or was it just these super high-powered artists, Brother Jose and Sister Rejeana, giving their, what do entrepreneurs like us do? We're sitting next to such
I
greatness.
mean, it's an honor. It's an honor. Mine is actually forthcoming, so we'll be having our conversation on June 30th. So very much looking forward to that, and being able to have a conversation with my newly found relative. Jose is actually a relative of mine through a distant aunt. So what are the
Wow.
odds, right? Yeah,
That's my cousin right there. That's my cousin.
Wow.
This is family. So,
Isn't that something?
yeah, definitely looking forward to diving deep into some real conversations when my time comes. So,
okay, so
yeah, I'm looking
I
forward
want to
to it.
ask all three of you, real talk, unadulterated. Do you all really, really in your soul understand how important this work is to the people? I mean, people are losing their cotton picking mind out here. And if I'm on the edge in this crazy time that we're in, and I happen to find this, go make something, this could save my life. Right? So do you guys really really, really, really at your core understand the magnitude of what you're bringing to the people? I'll wait.
I do. No, I mean, I do. I heard during Regina's one-on-one with Jose, she mentioned how she was able to utilize our creative space early on in the pandemic. And I think it was really striking that, in that moment, they're taking photographs. They had an amazing set design and, created some amazing photos. But I didn't understand, exactly what they were going through inside until she, spoke about it on the platform. So for me to be able to open up space to let her, creatively express and, relieve any tensions, trauma, or, things like that is just very telling. And I think it's like a full circle moment, being involved in this project now and learning about that. So I think, we can kind of extrapolate from that and see how many other folks are vying for these spaces to be able to express themselves or, even tap into their creative being. It's essential work.
The responsibility of it, Greg.
Essential work is true. I mean, sometimes.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, go ahead. The responsibility of it, you say?
Yeah, no, the responsibility and the gravity of it is very real to me. To me, this work is high stakes because I just need to reach one, if I can effectively communicate and reach one person that is relieved, as Rejeana so eloquently put it, finds some peace of mind through this work, man, it's everything. It's everything. And with that it's a huge responsibility. And I understand that and I accept that responsibility.
Wow, that's really, really incredible. Because sometimes, man, you could say something to someone, and just because that's in your nature, and it uplifts their spirit, and then you might run into them 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years later, and they were like, "Yo, you remember when you said thus and so? It really saved my life." I mean, that's happened to me a few times, and you're like, "Wow, really?" It's really, really something.
Yeah, and on the other side of that coin, I have to be careful what I say.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, I have to really pay attention to, and in terms of the workshops that we did, those have to be really well crafted because people are in a place of vulnerability. And when people are coming to workshops, like we did 3 workshops. One was called Breathe It Out, one was called Write It Out, and one was called Get It Out. And Get It Out was the first one. It was probably it was probably the most important springboard for the event because it gave people the opportunity to speak about what they have been going through. So to open up space for people like that, where they have to be vulnerable in that way, you have to take care of them. You have to take care of. So I have to pay attention to how it's crafted. I have to pay attention to what I say. I have to pay attention to the responses I give when people ask questions, because they're in a very vulnerable place. So it's a big deal, I think.
It's interesting. I'm glad you brought it up, the different compartments that you had there. Say it again, write it out, get it out.
We started with Get It Out, then we did Write It Out, which was a writing circle, a poetry writing circle, and that was co-facilitated by Nancy Wu, who was going to be here today, but she couldn't be here.
Uh-huh.
And then we did Breathe It Out, which was a mindfulness circle. So by stacking up these experiences, these workshop experiences for people, it allowed them to sort of go deeper into what it was that they were dealing with, so that we could get beyond it, right? Because we got a whole bunch of stuff bottled up right now, right? And if we don't give ourselves the opportunity for it to come out, and what I'm hoping that this will not be a one-time thing, right? Because this is valuable work. So if Arts Council Long Beach would want to do this again, it doesn't even necessarily have to be with me as the facilitator, but it's such valuable work.
All right, there we go. Okay, I move that we support the Go Make Something program. You know, this idea of the compartments that you've described is very interesting for me, because I was just up taking care of some business over in Leimert Park yesterday, and I ran into some friends of mine. One friend, Albert Lord, was a field deputy for Councilman Herb Wesson for many, many years, but he curated a lot of the Black History Month and Black Music Month arts exhibits in City Hall. He's been doing it for since the early 2000s. And now that, he's got a new job now, Herb Wesson is semi-retired, I guess we'll call it, lost the election, but Albert's out there doing the doggone thing. And he has an exhibit, and he walked me through his exhibit yesterday. And he's basically chronicling all of the exhibits that he put together since the early 2000s until last year when they lost the election. I mean, it's phenomenal stuff, right? I mean, it's, documents from Juneteenth, the actual general order that Colonel Granger read to the people, and he breaks it down in compartments very similar to yours. So his whole thing, write it out. The portion, it was right in. It was kind of almost identical to how you've described it, but his writing section was how after we were granted the right to vote, people had to be taught to read in order to vote, and he has all of these artifacts from those back in those days. It's powerful. The whole acted out, was he showed how issues of civil unrest led to valuable legislation that give us freedoms today. I mean, he breaks it on down almost identically in the compartments that you have described right here. It's cool. Really, really, really incredible stuff. You
need to introduce me to him. I would love to meet him.
Oh, he's a good guy. Albert Lord. He's the man. Good. Now, let me ask you all something. Okay, now here we are. All right. Expressions of art in our city of Long Beach in this day and time. I mean, we have these beautiful murals and everything like that, but then people who have a spirit of vandalism on them have come and tagged up the beautiful works of art. It's almost like folks don't have a consideration of what is art and what isn't out here on these streets. How do we, as arts advocates and as artists, talk to the folks, on the streets and say, hey, let's have some respect for the expressions of art, the expressions of public art out there that are in our communities, particularly our community? Anybody can take that one.
I think it starts with respect for people in general, that we've seemed to kind of lose sight of in society these days. I think if people generally respect one another, then in turn they will respect the art. But also platforms like this, you know what I mean? If you're a tagger, if you're a graffiti artist, you're an artist, you know what I mean? And, you can register your profile on the Arts Council website and, be able to publicly display your work, in a manner that, is a little bit more conducive to, success as an artist. So, yeah, I think, a lot of this stuff is like also opportunity. We have a mural and, knock on wood, we have a mural outside of our shop that we've had since 2018. And thankfully, no one has touched it. We did a Kobe mural, 2 years before Kobe passed away. And, people have tagged around it, on other aspects of the alley, but that one has remained intact. And, I think it just goes to show the respect that they have for the shop and for the space. And that's what I'll say on that.
This is interesting. They tagged Muhammad Ali out here in the East Village Arts District, and I'm mad.
Was that the one that Spark did?
Right there by the little hair shop.
By the park?
Spark. Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah. I'm mad. They tagged his shorts up, and I'm like, man, come on now.
Yeah, I think unfortunately that is the risk of street art in general. There's also a certain pride amongst taggers to tag something where their tag is going to be seen. So Muhammad Ali's shorts, which are in public view, which a lot of people know that piece, they're going to tag it because they know that somebody's going to see it. I think it's important to, wherever possible, a little series of videos may be made by graffiti artists that ask other graffiti artists to just respect people's work. And those types of little things, those types of little social media campaigns, all those types of things are really effective because they're speaking to, I don't think you have any 50-year-old taggers out there tagging Muhammad Ali's shorts. Right. You know what I mean? So who do we tap specifically that will speak to those youngins that will go out there? Where do we give them outlets, like Ryan was saying, to display their work so they don't feel like they need to necessarily go and tag? I mean, it's a weird thing to say, but if you're gonna tag somewhere where you're not ruining somebody else's piece of work.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of spots.
Yeah, right. There's plenty of spots. That's for sure. Wow. Rejeana, now I'm really fascinated by your work. I only learned about you recently, and I just like, dang, I actually even posted some on my social media when I saw your photos in. I think you were in one of the Photo Works exhibits. Somehow somehow I came across your work, and I said, oh wow, let me just start pushing out the, some of your stuff. Now, I want to get to this, and I'm going to play it. I'm gonna put the link in the chat so everybody can see this on YouTube. But talk about your film Resistance. Let me take a step back before we move forward. I really just see arts as a point of community advocacy. Yes, we want to advocate for arts, meaning we're intersecting, Griselda and we boxing with the city to make sure that the funding and the resources and all that policies are in place to support the artists. But in the main, arts is a form of communication, right? And so even an expression, and even in such a time as this, example of what I'm trying to say. We had the unrest May 31st. The people boarded up their businesses, trying to keep the people from, looting and all that. I gotta admit, we came down to make sure our business was straight, but man, overnight people have painted all of these beautiful, expressions of struggle, expressions of protest. I mean, I'm seeing my favorite one right now is Malcolm X over there. I think it's on the suit store that they burned down there. I love that particular mural, but I took a lot of pictures, almost 100 just on my phone, because I thought it was really, really powerful. But this is a definite strong example of how arts is a form of communications in the struggle in such a time as this. And your film, Rejeana, I mean, the photo we showed earlier is, I probably could write a whole dissertation on that by itself. But your film Resistance, talk about, share the people what that's about, what inspired you, and what do you hope that we walk away from that film?
I apologize. The name is 70 times 7.
Oh, I thought it was okay. Oh, my bad.
Yeah. No. You're good. You're good. I like that title though. I might give you credit for that title later on. But it's a documentary series that's ongoing right now, and that was my first attempt at documenting interviewing 7 Black fathers of Los Angeles County, and specifically interviewing their life experiences involving law enforcement. From a child up until now, depending on their age. And it was a range from the youngest was 26, and then the oldest was my father, and he's 63. So I was able to get a wide perspective range.
And okay, so I'm going to put the I see it 70 times 7 docu-series. Let me put this link in the chat so y'all can be up on this great piece of film here. Do you all now, Rejeana, what do you see as your biggest challenge as a filmmaker? Like, aside, I mean, funding, I'm sure, but what's your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge is trying to relay my message, because it was for non-Black communities to kind of get a little bit better understanding, because I know, like myself, many Black Americans, specifically in LA County, were looked to like the teachers or something for anti-racism, and many peers or co-workers of mine came to me like, well, how do I do something? How do I show that I'm not racist and I'm for the cause and everything? And at the same time, I noticed how people were kind of also doing it for a clout thing, or it seemed like a trend. And my documentary was my attempt to create something positive, at the same time informational, while we're being bombarded with all this trauma porn. And I call it trauma porn because that's what we've been seeing every single day since last year, since the murders of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor. It's like every single second there's someone else. And instead of that, I wanted to document going back to intergenerational trauma. I wanted to highlight the people that are still here, that are our fathers, that, have respectable jobs, that are a part of our community, and show how it affects their lives and their mental health, and how this could potentially affect their own children's mental health just because of what they have suffered with from the age of a child till now.
It's interesting you called it trauma porn, and we've been using a term that we learned from Black Lives Matter. My sister Audrina Redmond, she calls it the pornography of Black pain. And so, a lot of times, even on this show, sometimes we want to show, video of, things that have happened to us, but we've stopped because that term and thinking of it in those terms have given me pause. I think it's important for us to know that these things have happened, but at the same time, like you say, every day, man, we're bombarded with this stuff, and it's exhausting. You know what I mean? It's exhausting on our minds and exhausting on our souls. That's why this program, like Go Make Something, is so important, because it gives us an outlet, right, to maintain some sort of sanity, because doggone it, man, they really are blowing it up, and it's a lot. It's a lot. Now, when so these images that we see, I want to take this a little further in 2 parts. First of all, I just want to make a little statement about the images, and secondly, I want to talk about our allies, if you will. That's, I guess, what I'm being, just thinking out loud and being thoughtful here. So, right, the images and this trauma porn, as we call it, at the same time, I feel like we have to educate people, right? This stuff has been going on for generations upon generations upon generations, but there's a lot of folks that say, okay, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? How many people knew about Laura Nelson on the woman on your photographic image that we saw, earlier, and what the story is of her being lynched, how she came to be? It was her son was accused of stealing a cow. The authorities came to rustle him up. The authorities also known as a mob, came to rustle him up. She defended her son. So the mob decided, okay, we're going to lynch you and your son. And that's what happened, right? And so it was one of the first women, if not the first woman, to be lynched. But lynching in America was such a ginormous it was a spectator sport. It would attract tens of thousands when they would do that. They made postcards and sent them around. It was in the newspapers. Hey, we're lynching a Negro today. I mean, this is just real talk. And I share this because we just came out of commemorating the centennial of Tulsa, Oklahoma. That was like a secret for a very long time, right? You know, but at the same time, we don't want to see what happened in the bodies. But at the same time, we need to know about this history, right? How do you now just changing lanes to our allies, how do you share all of that very real American history with your allies? They're not going to understand. To me, that's what I feel. My opinion is that they're not going to understand, so why even discuss it?
That's interesting. It's a double-edged sword, really.
Yeah.
Because the very reason why it seems like so much is because things are being exposed that were never exposed before. Mm-hmm. This machine has changed history.
The phone, right?
The camera that we all carry in our pockets has changed history because so much of what people outside of the community did not know is now exposed because of this. Mm-hmm. And you know, this time, this is part of the convergence as well. This time is a delicate time because, like Rejeana said, I have friends who are asking me all the time, friends from outside the Black community, how do I engage? How do I stay engaged? How do I show people where I stand? And the double edge of that is, yes, I would like to help you understand, but sometimes I just don't feel like it. And I have the right to feel that way. So at the same time, you have to want to educate people and you have to go to where they are. That's the only way to help people understand, is to go to them where they are. Sometimes you're not going to want to do that. Sometimes I'm just mad. So I'm not going to do that today. And I tell people politely, look, I'm happy to talk this through with you, but just not today. Today is not the day for me to do that. And it's a very interesting dilemma, actually, because yes, people have to know, and I see a lot of people, to use the term that's going around, I see a lot of people waking up to stuff that they were just ignorant of, whether by choice or just out of sheer ignorance. So it's that kind of, I think that's part of the transformation. That's part of the growth that we're going through. And if I might make an interesting point about allyship, I've heard a lot of people in the Black community talking about performative allyship from people outside of the community. And my point is, if it's really, we know the difference. We will all feel the difference. If it's trendy, if it's performative or whatever, we all feel the difference. And what we know, what we can take solace in, is that the people who are performative about this movement, about this time, they're not going to last. They're going to fall by the wayside. So that doesn't matter, actually. But if somebody's performative and they have 500,000 followers on Instagram or something, and they touch 2 or 3 people who are sincere about their allyship, the job is done.
One step at a time.
Even to piggyback off of that a little bit, and like you mentioned earlier about the boards going up and people decorating the boards. One of my critiques of the boards was that performative nature of, okay, we don't really care, but we want to make sure our business is safe. So let's get an artist to come and put this message in solidarity, and not follow up with anything. So we kind of use art as a way to kind of brush over a lot of these hard conversations. Part of the pivot for our creative space during this time of not really being able to gather was my business partner, Sinai Kemfe, has single-handedly built probably one of the most expansive collections of Black literature. So just all through the pandemic, he was booked with appointments of people, allies and Black folks coming by to find these books on different facets of Blackness, to educate themselves and to, be well informed of the issues that people of color are facing, in history and today. So I think this is critical work that needs to be done. It's going to be deeper than art. It's going to take, like Jose was saying, going inside, but also holding each other accountable. And the performative nature has to go. It'll show really quick who's really in it and who's not.
You're muted, Greg.
Whole book situation, the literary art, right? This is interesting, and this is where we really become woke, when we begin to read. I'm a man of God. This is a good example. And so, it's easy for people to say, Christianity is the white man's religion, but we can strongly refute that. And when we begin to get into that level of theology, we're talking about theologians like, people don't know about Dr. James Cone, Dr. Howard Thurman, who Martin Luther King was strongly, influenced by. The story of Richard Allen, how the founding of the AME Church was basically based on a act of social justice. When white folks wouldn't let them pray in the church, they got up and walked out, and they formed their own, their own church. And now, one of the largest, African-American denominations out there. But this whole thing of liberation theology, is not widely known by people until they begin to read books, right? So we boil it all the way down to, to Long Beach. When we look at the Long Beach history, what do you think about the racial reconciliation? What is it? Framework for Reconciliation. That's what they're calling it. So that's the city, right? And so I listened for a portion of the first little conference call they had, and the question was asked, how many of you have experienced racism in Long Beach? And it was crickets on the phone, just because there wasn't a lot of Black people on there, first and foremost. So let's give them a pass there. Just folks did not participate. But I'm saying this, I know that Long Beach has a history. I know that Long Beach has a history that could be told from an African-American perspective. And, it's going to be contained and revealed through the reading, through the written word. Has your library with Brother Sinai and Play Nice LBC, have you all ever connected with the African-American Historical Society, which is housed in one of the public libraries? And it's, it's a legacy. I mean, a couple of generations ago that it was founded, but I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm seeing a natural fit. We got to link that up and keep that written literacy going. Yeah. Have you ever linked up with them?
We haven't at this present moment, but I'm certainly down to explore that.
All right. That's what's up. Wow, this is really great. We're coming to the end of our time there, but I'm feeling so rejuvenated and inspired. All of these smart people on here, these artistes. What can we do to come all together?
Greg, I just want to take a moment to thank Cynthia Lujan and Sergio Alan Diaz here at the Arts Council.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Okay. who really, not only with Go Make Something, but over the summer, Cynthia and Sergio Alan really took the time to be stewards of the protest panels and create an archive, which you can find at the Go Make Something page. And you can see some of those panels. We are still storing them. We're looking forward to working with them and with the artists who created them as we move forward this year. But really a lot of work from the staff, from them to bring people together. And I just really want to thank them so much for their hard work on this.
And I wanted to shout out to Griselda for being the head of the ship, the captain, And for, all of this is possible because of Griselda's leadership. So thank you so much, Griselda. I also wanted to just let people know on artslb.org is the website. And we will be doing a live conversation on the Arts LB Instagram with myself and Ryan on June 30th at noon. So please, and the day after, we will be doing another version of Breathe It Out, of the mindfulness circle that we did. So just so that everybody knows that that's what's going on. You can find all the information about Go Make Something on the artslb.org website.
And those are right there in the chat. I know you hear me back here. I'm over here. I'm inspired and I'm making something while I'm talking to these esteemed artists. And, that's what I'm doing. I'm relieving myself and I'm making something.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, no matter how you're feeling, no matter where you are, it's valid, and you can use whatever you're feeling to go make something. That's what it's about.
I would really, encourage everybody, tap into that creative side. I mean, you know what? I'm blessed. I'm part of the Arts Council for Long Beach on the board of directors, and I've been able to experience some things that I probably would never. I've been around a minute now in the artistic field. I mean, I'm a event producer. I'm all about that music is really the whole thing. And but I have experienced and seen some things like we were talking about earlier. They had we had the live with the woman who had us drawing with our non-dominant hand, and lady had written books, about how this, all your emotions are coming out through it was so deep, to me, and just very, very interesting. Rolling with Griselda, of course, Brian Trimble, Tasha Hunter, all of them, you just listen to, and my favorite phrase in these strenuous times that we're in were uttered by former city councilwoman Renee Simon. She was councilwoman back in the 70s, and she said, "Arts lives matter." And I was like, yes, I love it. That's what I would like to say. Arts lives matter. Let's take care of our artists. Let's keep advocating for the arts. I mean, this is an art city. It is an essential service. While y'all are out there trying to figure out where the tax dollars are going, where the funding is going, make sure that the arts are included in that so we can continue, great programs like this. And there's a lot more out there, great people like Brother Jose. So, Jose, how do you say, are we saying Angel or Angel?
My name is Jose Angel Castro.
All right, my brother. So here we are. We're in the same neighborhood. I'm trying to figure, what is your lineage? My
family is from Honduras.
Okay.
We are Garifuna people from Honduras.
Garifuna. Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
That's right, Ryan. That's my cousin right there.
Awesome. Okay. There you go. We everywhere. Look at that.
We everywhere. Yes.
Rejeana, any last things you want to say to the people?
Just thank you so much, Greg and Griselda, for having me. It's been such an honor to just be in this space with all of you. And I hope to talk to you again.
All right. You got it. You got a deal. Come on. Let's stay close. Ryan, man, it's so good to see you here.
Likewise, happy we were all able to connect. Thank you to everyone here. Thank you to the Arts Council, Griselda, Judy, Cynthia. You guys have really held it down for the last year and moving forward. So definitely very appreciative of all of the work that you guys do.
All right. Ryan, how do people get a hold of you?
You can find us on Instagram at PlayNiceLBC. That's where we'll be posting. Waiting for that June 15th date. We got some Juneteenth programming coming out. So just excited to get the ball rolling on events again safely. And just looking forward to a cool summer.
All right. And Rejeana, how do we get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me on my website, rejeanavblack.com, and also on Instagram, Rejeana, REJEANA. I spell it differently, _Violet.
RejeanaVBlack.com. Hold on. We're putting that in the chat right now. And the Instagram, say it one more time.
Rejeana_Violet.
Oh, that's right. And brother Jose Angel, give it to me.
You can find me on Instagram in two places. At the one, THE, the number one, MRC, Mr. C. That's what my students call me. You can find me on Instagram at the Now House, THENOWHOUSE. That's my education group. It's called the Now House Education Group. You can find me on the web, thenowhouse.org.
Okay, that's right. All right, y'all. It's all in the chat, and you can get us on demand on our Facebook page, Coffee Conversations with Greg J. And yeah, we're also taking on this audio version. We'll be posting that a little later on, wherever you get your podcasts, iHeart, Spreaker, Stitcher, Apple. Just Google it, Coffee Conversations with Greg J. And it'll be also on our 24-hour online radio station, Beach City Radio, beachcityradio.com. That's how we do it. Arts Council for Long Beach, we put it in there already, the artslb.org. I see Griselda to jet off to her next meeting. Man, but thank you all so much for what a great time of fellowship and learning, right? And so it's all about that. Let's keep in touch. Let's keep going. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Appreciate you, Greg. Thanks for having us.
Thank y'all. You guys have a good one.
All right, everybody. That's
Take it easy,
it.
y'all.
Don't
See you
forget,
soon.
love one another. Love one another. Love one another. Peace and blessing.